G'day, Big V. It is grand final time for our youth leagues. We're going to kick it off with our youth men in this podcast, starting VYC men as we have the Melbourne Tigers host the Kilsyth Cobras. It is 1v2. Melbourne finished on top. Kilsyth finished second. It was going to be an amazing fight here. These two have had some intense battles. I believe Melbourne have been full rosters both times, I believe.
Yeah, well, Melbourne have been elite all season, Ted, and when they've got a full roster, there is absolutely nothing stopping them. So I'm really, really excited for this one. I see Melbourne and Diamond Valley game went down to the wire last week, so Kilsyth certainly have a little bit of a framework there to work with of how to make sure they stick with Melbourne. And to be honest, based on Kilsyth's performances the last 2 weeks, there's absolutely no doubt that Kilsyth will be right in this game.
Oh, 100%. This is a game where you can easily go either way. You would probably say that Melbourne have some more well-known and bigger pieces with the likes of Taj and Meso, but Kilsyth have like Isaiah Harvey. They've got Brad Haywood and Josh, his brother, Lockie Vandervorm, who's been around for a long time. There's some seriously interesting matchups here with Taj probably going against Brad Haywood. You got Reese Ray, who's just an IQ genius. He knows exactly what every single team does. So if you're watching a live stream at this game, expect him to be calling out Kilsyth's plays just before they run them. And he'll probably go up against like the likes of Bambara. But I'll be interested to see who Zach Molt puts on Gazy, whether he puts Isaiah Harvey of him or Tom Gosen, or if he starts Josh Haywood.
Okay.
And gives him the assignment there. But like even Wilson Amos having to guard him is going to be trouble. Not a 3-point threat, but such a good athlete and he gets to his spot really well. So maybe that's more of a Vandervorm or Tom Gosen sort of matchup.
Yeah, you could look at this game and there's matchups across the board to get really excited about. We almost certain that this one's going to go down to the wire, and I'm glad you mentioned the live stream, Ted. Just to shout out to our listeners that all of our grand finals will be live streamed.
All of them.
All of them. You can tune in. You might head down to the Melbourne Kilsyth game, but you can tune into the other youth league finals on Saturday night and watch online as well while you're doing it. So really exciting game here. This one could definitely go either way. And the good thing with the crossover system, we have the best two teams, despite being from the same conference. They can compete in the final.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be super, super interesting. Another game that's going to be very intense is the Youth League 1 Grand Final is going to be at Eagle Stadium over in Wyndham as they host Hume, which is just sort of the matchup that we've been expecting, to be honest. The likes of Norling versus Gala, Oscar Jones and O'Toole, Manuel Deng, who had a fantastic season and game on the weekend. He wasn't a prolific scorer like Norling and Jones, but he adds such an influential piece as that sort of third scorer, and you would probably think that Elijah Taylor will come up against him.
Yeah.
But this is going to be super interesting because they're seniors versus each other just before this game, I believe.
Yeah, the seniors going first in their final. They're they've got to win to then advance as well. So a lot of these players are going to have 2 games in one night. And it's going to be very, very interesting how the coaches handle this situation, because this is a grand final. It is the second game of the night for a few of them. Like Corey Fittis, who plays big minutes in both, he's going to have a very, very large evening. It's no doubt both teams will be aware of this, and both teams will be making these guys work overtime.
Yeah, it's going to be super interesting as I'm sure they're going to talk about it during the week at trainings and whatnot of how they manage the load here. But, Big V Champ Men is the pinnacle of Big V. It is the centre stage. So, it's going to be interesting of how they work this. But I think it's going to be super interesting either way because both teams have such intense players. Like Joshua Norling is a prolific scorer and defender. He can get steals. He can guard. He's physical up the floor. He can turn bodies, which is just amazing as an all-round basketball player. And O'Toole and Gala, who are definitely guys who can get going whenever they want. So there's guys here that play genuine youth league minutes that can be influential as opposed to some of these other guys who, like you said, might be tired from their first game.
Yeah, certainly. It's going to be a hell of a matchup, and really pleased to see first, second again make the grand final. I wouldn't want to be missing this one, that's for sure. Moving on to Youth League 2 Men Grand Final, another absolute cracker. We've got first from one conference. They're in the same conference, aren't they, Ted? First and second from the one conference, I believe.
I believe so.
Yeah, in Whittlesea, playing host to Sunbury. And there are some absolute stars going to be taking the court in this matchup with none other than my favourite sort of matchup I'm looking at now, Chase Penono and Owen Stevens going to head-to-head. I think that's going to be very exciting.
You're 100% right. I think it's going to be very, very intriguing as to how the two of them go. You know they're going to be going at each other, two prolific scorers in their own right in this division. Stevens was someone who came off the bench at the start of the season and now is a genuine starter. And
you're welcome.
Yeah, he's made your star 5 countless times now, and Chase Penono has been that same guy. So it's going to be super interesting as to how they do it. Now, Ethan Bateman, last time these guys played, I believe it's Farley. He started on him. So whether they do bring him back and put him on Bateman, I think the interesting one will be D'Amato and Salvador, the two bigs in the centre.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a super interesting matchup. They do have an insane presence on the floor there. D'Amato especially is such a big frame and massive size. So I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see how these teams attack each other.
Yeah, and they both of them have had a difficult final series. They might come in a bit banged up. They've had competitive games throughout. So whilst Whittlesea week 1 had quite an easy victory there, their first hit out last week certainly got taken to them by Melbourne University. So that'll be interesting how sort of that comes into it and the fatigue from the season. But tell you what, they're going to leave it all on the floor. And once again, this is going to be a live stream game from Mill Park. So I expect a packed house. If you can't get a ticket, make sure you tune into live stream.
Yeah, absolutely. All these games will be on the website. So if you don't know where to go, jump on the fixture and you'll find their games. The live stream will be right there. All the best for all these teams. Good luck and get down or watch these games live. We'll see you soon.